With Gordon Teel'S. Hi Gordon, how are you doing?
I'm fine. Yourself?
Oh, I'm doing really well. We thought we'd drop by today and have a look at your layout. It's quite a large layout. What size is it in the room roughly here?
Room itself is 66 feet long. The layout itself is about 60 feet.
Wow.
And it's about 30 feet wide.
Yeah, it's quite an undertaking.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you have a group of people that work with you here.
Most of the work on the layout, track lane and everything, has all been done by myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's more or less a labor of love.
Yeah.
I don't smoke and I don't drink, so I spend my money on railroad stuff instead.
Yeah. How did you get started in the hobby?
I was born pulling a wooden train.
Oh, is that right?
It's kind of hard, my mother, but
yeah.
But the first baby pictures of me are with a wooden train. And I've just been, all my life I've went from there to Louis Marks to Lionel and then to O Scale and then on to HO.
Yeah. You ever been involved with the manufacturing side of the hobby at all or anything like that?
Yes.
So what sort of things are you doing with that?
Well, in '71 I opened up a hobby shop in Montreal.
Yeah.
By '75 I had 3 hobby shops in Montreal, and then I sold them and went into the manufacturing of Juneco Scale Models.
Oh yes.
And then I started distributing other lines like CDS and that, and then ended up with, by by '93 I had 75 different lines, and now my daughter has taken over the business, and I still just do the manufacturing.
That's incredible. I mean, I've used Juneco parts for years myself in modifying locomotives, and especially I had an interest in CN back in the day, and I remember in the 80s I used to have just piles of parts and with all the details that you needed in order to make a good looking CN locomotive. Yeah. So that's continuing on today. It's sort of, I guess there were kits as well. I recall that
we had
cabooses and things like that.
Cabooses, box cars, reefers, flat cars, gondola.
Yeah.
And then we had ice houses, Cartierville station, engine house.
So how did you get involved with that? I mean, to a large extent, there had to be a huge amount of research and access to what the parts looked like, the dimensions of them, and things like that.
We had good contacts with CN and CP, and we used to be able to get a lot of the information we needed right from there.
Yeah.
Over the Valley, for one, was a big help in locating stuff and that. Mm-hmm. When we brought out the Cartierville station, I called CN about getting some drawings for a station, and meanwhile they couldn't find it. They were looking for some drawings and they couldn't find them, and they finally said, I asked them if I could go out and measure the station. It was the one in San Bruno, and they said, sure, go ahead. Well, when we went out there, my father and I, with a tape measure and paper, and started measuring it. The station master, who was a woman, came out after us and threatened to send the railroad police after us and everything else. So I asked her to go in and phone this chap on the phone. She went in and called him, came back out, and she offered to hold the end of the ruler for me.
Isn't that
just
great?
Just a complete turnaround. And that was the Cartierville station, and it just... Sorry, that was the San Bruno station, which we never did bring out. Yeah. Because CN, while we were out there measuring the Cartierville station, CN called and said they couldn't find the drawings for it anymore, but they had found these drawings for the Cartierville station. They said, we think this would make a nice kit. Yeah. So
that's what happened.
They sent me the drawings, and I liked it, so I paid them for them, and and the rest was history.
Yeah, and so the company's continuing. It must be quite nice to have your daughter assume the business end of things.
Yeah, yeah.
And where does she run that from?
She lives just a few miles from here.
Okay.
They built a warehouse on their property.
Right. And you manufacture here on the grounds, do you? Yeah. So most of the manufacturing is involved with white metal castings and that sort of thing? Yeah. So what goes into those? Is it a special formula, or?
Well, first of all, we have to make a brass master of what we want to cast.
Right.
Then we make a first generation mold,
Yeah.
and run enough of maybe 20 or 30 of them off.
Yes.
And then we use that, the best castings, to make a second, or an operating mold,
Right.
a production mold.
So it's a sort of a spin casting technique,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
so you're
centrifugal casting.
so you melt it all down, and then you pour it into the mold and give it a spin to get all the air
Yeah.
out of it, and
Yeah.
it has the little Christmas
Yeah.
trees and things
Say-
that
say
connect
a
to
little-
all that.
Say a few Hail Marys and there you go.
Well, the nice
It
part
works.
is if it doesn't, you can always remelt it down and do it again.
Oh yeah, you remelt it down, but it's all the work and everything making the mold is.
That's true.
You know.
Yeah. So the molds last for.
No, they eventually you have to replace them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It all depends on the mold and.
But the brass master is.
Well, usually the brass master is, if it's been soldered together,
Yeah.
is finished. You end up with all the parts.
Uh,
And try and resolder them back together again is
a pain.
Is almost useless.
So you have to start right from scratch each
again.
time. Wow. So that's. So you must have had a background in that sort of thing
No.
before. You just
No.
self-taught.
Just self-taught.
Yeah. So what was the drive? How did that happen? Just that the parts weren't available, and you wanted.
This is it. It was getting frustrating with. I found like through the hobby shop, people were looking for stuff for items.
Yeah.
To what I used to refer to as Canadianize a locomotive.
Right.
And just parts just weren't available.
Gee.
So after I sold my stores, it was in the spring when I sold them, and I took the summer off, and just in the fall I decided, well, I was young and stupid enough, I'd figured I'd try going into the manufacturing end and bringing out kits.
Wow. So how many years now you've been doing that?
Well, I started that in '75.
Wow. Yeah.
So
So you must be one of the longer producing castings person out there.
I think so.
That's quite something.
Yeah.
And such a great line too, CN and CP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So let's have a look at your layout. What is the name of it, by the way?
The layout is called the Chateaugay Central.
Yes.
It's my wife, who's deceased,
Yes.
was from Oxford, New York,
Yeah.
and I lived in Chateaugay, so we call it the Chateaugay Central
There you go.
Railroad.
Yeah.
And the name of all the towns on the railroad are the towns we used to drive through between Chateaugay and Oxford, New York.
Oh, isn't that something?
And then when I moved here, Chateaugay got changed to Martintown. So
Wow.
now it runs from Martintown to Oxford.
Well, your wife was quite an influence on all this. You built the company with her name. I know that a lot of people mispronounce it. I've heard it called Juneco and all kinds of things.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have fun with it.
So maybe you can tell me a little bit about how this operates, where the main points are that the trains start from, and that sort of thing.
Well, the first town, say, is Martintown.
Yeah.
First of all, there's no circle. There's no way a train can go around in a circle.
Okay, so it's point to point?
It's strictly point to point.
So this is one end of the point to point, and this is called Martintown.
Yes.
And you have, I guess, some sort of a station master operator here. Is that
Yeah, each
how it
yard
works?
has its own operator.
And I see that there's panels associated with each of the yards. They're quite extensive here, and in a way, it gives you a bit of a diagram as to what's going on.
You know, the panels are designed so a first-time operator can easily follow their train.
Yes.
And know, just go with his finger, go along. Okay, that the orange button is an uncoupling button, and this is a switch and the lights indicate which way the tracks are set or the switches are set.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So you can basically do everything automatically, the uncoupling and the moving of the trains.
Yes.
Now, I guess originally this was a DC setup.
Yes.
Is that one of the DC controllers that you used to have on the layout there, the scale speed control?
Yeah.
They're unplugged now,
They're
of course.
just unplugged. But I can still run on DC if I want to, just by plugging in the end. I leave them unplugged when we're not using them, just in case.
And it's an NCE system, eh?
Yes.
Oh, terrific.
I like the NCE system because it's easy to operate.
Yeah, and it's got nice big buttons, and you can read what's going on pretty easily. Well, this is quite an extensive yard here. huge amount of rolling stock and locomotives. To operate the system with 6 people, you must have some kind of a way to control the movement of cars.
Oh yeah, so we use a program called Switch It.
Yeah.
And for example, this is the session 7. This is a switch list. So who's ever operating this yard has to pull all these cars. It tells you what track they are on, and make up the train.
Right.
And this will tell where the cars are. Excuse me, their destination.
Right.
And this tells you what they're loaded with or unloaded.
So at the same time, that allows people to block the cars properly and so on before the train leaves, eh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they'll not only do they have to find the cars when they're building the train, they're sorting them in the blocked order they should be in.
That's right. That's right.
Now the train itself, the train number is generated. I see in this one it's 201. Do you have like a timetable that sets up?
We don't bother with a timetable.
You're just having fun building the train?
We're just having fun.
So today 201's going to run, so you build a train around 201?
When it's ready to go, because we don't always start at the same time. Sometimes we'll shoot the breeze a little bit before we start. And,
yeah, sure.
And that.
So it's casual.
That's casual. And some nights, I'll be planning on 6 people and only 5 will show up.
Oh, okay.
One forget that it's Thursday or his wife says he can't come or something, something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll have to...
Darn those wives, eh?
So after he's got the train made up, then the engineer will take it out, and then his next stop is the Cornwall yard, which is way down the other end.
Yeah.
And he has to drop off these cars,
right.
And he's picking up these 3.
Yeah.
Okay. And once that's done, then it goes to the next yard,
right.
Which is Whitney Point, and finally ends up in Oxford. Right now we only have 4 yards operating. Eventually we will have 6.
Okay, so a guy who has, say, train 201 in this case would have certain locomotive numbers, and he'd pull them from the roundhouse facility over here, come out into the yard, and then he would make up his train.
That's right.
And then go with his train.
Yeah.
And then the next person would do that, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So every operator gets a chance to do a little bit of everything.
This train is this one right here that's ready to go now.
Okay, so it's made up.
This one here was just arrived from our last operating session.
Okay.
It hasn't been broken up yet.
Well, that's really incredible. Quite recognizable of the Pac-Man scheme, I guess is the nickname for it. So we're leaving Martinstown now?
Yes.
And we're heading out onto the main and...
Notice the signal change from...
Yes. Yeah. And that's magnet-based, eh?
Yeah.
So when does it reset? At another point, or does
when the signal goes to red, this will
automatically go to yellow? Okay. So it goes under the layout and reappears. Juneco Scale Models factory building, where they manufacture all those wonderful parts for the CP and CN. There's a double track main in behind, and soon we'll see our train emerging from the back there.
That's what happens when you don't watch the signals. But if you looked at the signal, it would have told me the switch was wrong.
Okay, so the train now is on the main line, and it's moving towards what location?
The next stop would be Whitney Point.
Whitney Point?
After 20 years of operation, we had to replace the track under there, so I took it out. We had to tear the mountain down.
Oh dear. Because it looks like there was like a logging line up in the top there. And
Yeah, that's going to be our branch line.
so there's actually quite a bit of running here then. I can hear the train running.
It's coming out over there. So it's going to come out here.
Ah, okay.
It's coming up the valley.
Ah, gotcha. So it's going to be coming right out through there. There it goes. Ha. So by going up along in different heights, you get a lot of good operating distance.
Just got to go around again before it gets to Whitney Point. Originally we planned on operating it from behind the layout.
I see, yes. It's actually a huge amount of woodwork that goes on in the construction under here. What sort of construction techniques did you use when you built this, Gordon?
The table is all built like L-girder bench work.
Yeah.
The layout is divided up into sections, 31 and 7/8 wide by whatever length it needed.
Right.
The reason why 31 and 7/8 is 32 less the thickness of a saw blade.
Ah.
And when I designed it, I tried to make sure there was no switches on a split.
Right.
So when we had to move the layout from Chateaugay to here, all we did is got underneath and just unbolted the sections and cut the rails where the joints were, and moved it all over here and then reassembled it.
And the wood itself, it's what, plywood and
most of the work is plywood, all the framework.
Okay.
There's some sections where the tabletop is pressboard.
Right.
The elevated section, most of that is pressboard because it doesn't warp.
Yeah.
But the problem is, you've got to put a girder or something in between your risers. Otherwise, pressboard does
give a little bit of a dance. Yeah.
So as you can see, like through there, you can see there's a brace across.
Right.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I use pressboard as well, or it's really sort of a combination of sawdust and glue that was stuck together.
Yeah.
And I found by using the gyprock screws and things like that, it worked pretty well to hold it together versus using some sort of other nailing technique.
The other thing is too is pressboard is not affected so much by moisture.
Yeah.
As other words, so
you put your white glue down or whatever on it.
Well, and it doesn't expand and contract as much as say pine or even plywood.
Yeah. I like those operating signals. So now the train is starting to descend the grade, and what's the next stop then?
Okay, the next stop is going to be Whitney Point.
There's lots of really nice structures here, very large ones. Nice modules. Are these kits or are these scratch builds? Beautiful. I see they're all built on a diorama style base.
Yes.
I've never seen these out at Ovar. You should lift a few of them out and bring them along for us to see. They're tremendous. So you and your wife then are both involved in the modeling?
Not too much.
Just certain ones
Yeah.
peeled, eh? So she put all of the
All the details.
detail on the front. And
decals. And, we had a contest at the Moccasin Railroad Club, a tile contest. We had to build something on a 12 by 12 square. So that was my exhibit, and hers is up there.
Yeah. Moccasin Club is quite a club. It's in Cornwall, of
Yes.
course. And how many members does it have?
We usually average about 30 members that show up. We only meet once a month.
Right.
And have between 27 to 30 members that show up.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
We got I'm the club secretary, and I've got I think it's 56 names on the mailing list itself.
Yeah. It's an eclectic group, though. They're not all just modelers or they're prototypers.
We have some prototype railroaders and retired rail engineers and
live steamers and
yes. Yeah, we have everything from end scale all the way up to live steam.
That's very great. That's wonderful. Train is hitting the other end of the, I guess, all visible staging. This is the point-to-point railroad, and this is the town of Oxford.
Yes.
So it's coming through the passenger terminal right now and past Juneco Scale Models factory building and into the main freight yard. And there's the freight yard, and then down at the end you have another locomotive facility. That's great.
Diesel shop is two Walther's kits put together.
So, that's quite the sanding tower kit.
That was one that was put out by Overland Models.
Oh yes.
I had to resolder most of it to get it all back together again because it all came apart.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Yeah, one thing about Overland is they have beautiful intricate workings and nice prototypes to follow. There's all your steamers.
Yeah. The turntable pit is machined out of solid steel. It weighs a ton.
I guess. But it's always going to stay exactly where it is. Well, this is quite the labor of love, I can tell. There's so much involved in it. It's one of those projects that I guess you must work on it on a daily basis pretty well.
Not too much, not very much in the summer because in the summer I like to be outside.
Yeah.
I love the heat and I love, summer. This is more of in the winter I work on it.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm trying to finish off sections of it by the time. I got one more building that I'm working on for the Cornwall yard. Once I get that building and finish the scenery on it, then I'll tackle finishing another yard.
Wow.
Yeah. This yard I still got to be water. I need a water tower, a cooling tower, and a station yet for it, and to finish off the town.
Wonderful, yeah.
I've got most of the parts of what I need. It's just a matter of getting the time now to do it.
Yeah, it's always time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for letting me come down and have a look at the layout. It's just a tremendous piece of work, and maybe I'll get a chance to come back and operate it sometime.
Oh, you're welcome anytime.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Always looking for operators.
You bet.